Welcome to Walker of Worlds podcast. My name's Rachel, and this is a podcast where we step behind the veil to take a look at some long lost and little known spooky stories and urban legends. I have to thank my wonderful friend James for this story. A born and bred Yorkshireman, he was all too happy to tell me the tale that we're going to talk about today. Located on the eastern edge of the Yorkshire Dales National Park, the picturesque town of Richmond is home to a mere 8,000 people. Richmond was founded in 1071 and is reminiscent of the area with quaint stone buildings, a market square, rolling hills and stunning churches. Situated in the southernmost part of the town is a series of small waterfalls called Richmond Falls. Seated above the town is Richmond Castle. The castle was constructed by Alan Rufus from 1071 onwards, following the Norman conquest of England. The Domesday Book of 1086 refers to a castle at Richmond. In the 12th century, his great-nephew Conan expanded the castle and built the keep. Although it was derelict by 1540, it was restored centuries later. The property is the best preserved early Norman castle in England and an important tourist attraction. To the southeast of the castle is the ruins of Easby Abbey. The abbey, whose formal name is the Abbey of St Agatha, was built in 1152 for the White Canons. In the late 1530s, Henry VIII dissolved the monasteries and the abbey was left to fall into ruins. Sometime around the end of the 18th century, a tunnel is said to have been found in the grounds of Richmond Castle, and so began the tale we're about to tell. The tunnel, whether real or not, was believed to lead from the castle to the nearby abbey. Eager to discover the exact route and destination of the tunnel, but too big to fit down it themselves, soldiers persuaded one of the regimental drummer boys to go down, with instructions to walk along the tunnel whilst continually beating his drum so that the route could be followed above ground. The drum's beat could be plainly heard leaving the enclave of the castle, heading across Market Place and along French Gate to the banks of the River Swale and heading towards Easby. However, about half a mile from Easby Wood, the drumming ceased and was never heard again. Did the tunnel end there? Had the roof collapsed? What happened to the drummer boy? The event seems to have unsettled the soldiers, so that they gave their task up right there and then and didn't try and determine where the tunnel went. Some thought that the tunnel roof might have collapsed on the poor boy, while others whispered that his drumming had drawn a dreadful underground monster to devour him. There is a happier ending to this tale, though. In one version, the drummer boy ceases beating his drum because he comes across a large cavern where a legion of soldiers lay sleeping, their weapons and armour scattered about them. The boy realises he has come across King Arthur and his sleeping army. He is about to start beating his drum again when one of the knights wakes up and asks the boy whether England is under attack. The boy answers that it is not. Then it is not time to awaken King Arthur yet, replied the knight. But before he returned to his slumber, he invited the drummer boy to join their ranks. The boy readily agreed and fell asleep, surrounded by the legendary knights. Whatever fate the drummer boy met, in the world above his story is commemorated by a plaque at the spot where it is said the drumming stopped. It reads, according to legend, this stone marks the spot where the Richmond Drummer Boy reached in the tunnel supposed to lead from Richmond Marketplace to Easby Abbey. Here the drumming ceased and he was never seen again. Whether or not the legend of the drummer boy is true, the town has taken the story to its heart. Evidence of the legend is everywhere you go. The Green Howards Regimental Museum stands in the market square. As well as documenting the history of the regiment, the museum also offers a map of a walking route that follows the same one that was taken by the soldiers in the drummer boy. Alternatively, there are many descriptions of the walk online. The Richmond Brewing Company, a microbrewery set up in 2013 and located in the renovated station, offers a beer called the Drummer Boy, which is described as a copper-coloured, easy-drinking session ale. The local council have even incorporated the legend into its Christmas celebrations, and various large Christmas lights decorate the Friary Gardens, including a full-length illuminated Drummer Boy. Writer William Mayne also is inspired to write a children's book, Earth Fasts, based around the legend. In his novel, the two protagonists hear a strange drumming noise coming from the moor near where they live. When the hillside unexpectedly opens up, a drummer boy emerges directly from the 18th century. However, the story doesn't end there. They never do. It has been said that, on the night of a full moon, the sound of a drum can be heard somewhere in the distance. Maybe the drummer boy is just around the corner, or hiding in the shadows of the castle, Or maybe, just maybe, he still plays in the depth of the tunnel while surrounded by King Arthur's watchful soldiers. Yorkshire is a place of wonder when it comes to the strange and supernatural. Rolling hills and dales are a haven for such beings to live and play. Where the River Wharfe wraps around Bolton Abbey is the strange story of the Stride Kelpie, a treacherous stretch that forces the full volume of the water of the River Wharfe into a tiny narrow channel that's a literal cauldron of angry water. It's so narrow it's tempting to try and leap across, but if you tried it would not end well. Not only are the rocks slippery and dangerous, the sheer force of that amount of water being funneled into a tiny rocky ravine has resulted in a massively deep chasm. A chasm so deep that there is a lot of speculation as to how deep it actually is. Underneath the surface of the violently boiling water are eroded holes, submerged caverns and deep ledges to be trapped under that you wouldn't be surprised that it has claimed lives in the past. Most notoriously, it claimed the life of William de Romilly, who was the son of Alice de Romilly, who resided in Skipton Castle, who reportedly attempted the leap and never made it back in the 1100s. The violent knot of water is home to a beautiful shape-shifting water horse known as the Kelpie. Oh, and it's also home to a violent and vengeful fairy. The Kelpie likes to lure people onto its saddle and into the water. Once mounted, you cannot get off, and the terrible duo will then take you down deep into the water and drag you under the ferocious torrent until your demise. Like most of the UK, Yorkshire has a rich history of myths, legends, ghosts and spirits. If you're travelling to the area, just remember that you're walking some of the oldest streets in the country and that you may have more than memories and photos to take home with you. Thank you so much for listening. If you like your books soaked in the paranormal, please feel free to check out our website at www.roswellpublishing.co.uk. And until next time, stay spooky.